What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Drift A70 garage. Playing with the steering rack some more. I did quite a bit since the end of the last video, just kind of welding in the mounts I made. So you can see I found the placement and boxed in the mounts and everything. So it's solid there. This side's boxed in and it's trimmed for the clearance issues I was having. I went with these soft lines to try and avoid the lines being in the way for any potential future removal. But I'm not sure if it's going to work because this banjo bolt is pretty long and it might have some pan clearance issue itself. So I think today, what I'm going to do, I don't have a whole lot of time today, but I'm going to see what I can get done, is I'm going to knock these lower ball joints out, put my new ones in. That way I don't have to worry about that when it's in the car. And then we'll stuff the we'll stuff the subframe back in the car and set the engine down again and see where we're at. I do have the steering shaft coupler now, and then this bolt I'm just gonna cut the end off, and the Supra steering shaft will slip over it, and I'll just phase it and weld it in like that, and it'll be solid. So yeah, let's knock these ball joints out real quick, I think. Now you can see this ball joint is all taken care of. New one installed. I have a new one for over here as well, so I'm gonna go ahead and swap that out real quick. Well, I didn't want to bore you guys with me putting the subframe back in, and the engine dropped in just for the time being. But I went ahead and did that, so now I can check all my rack clearances, and as you can see, pan clears the rack. The line is really close. It's right on the where the lower oil pan meets the upper, and it's got the ridge around it. That banjo bolt is just touching it. I do think the engine's going to sit back a little bit more, but when the engine comes back out, I'm just going to grind a little bit, and I'll show you guys what I'm talking about. But I'm going to grind just a little bit off of the lower oil pan just to give extra clearance to be sure. But as of right now, everything fits. The trans isn't in it. It's still sitting over there. It's just an engine drop test for now. And I'm very happy everything clears so far. So now I'll finish the steering shaft, and I'm waiting on some parts to do lines as far as reservoir and a cooler and all that. But so far so good. The JZ is fitting with the BMW rack in the Mark III. One thing I was talking about was the clearance of this banjo bolt on the pan. I told you guys I was going to shave a little bit of it. So I started to. I'll probably clean it up just a little bit, but I just shaved this little ring of the pan down just so I could have clearance on that bolt. I didn't want to take too much, and I didn't want to, change the shape of the pan at all. So I just took a little bit of the ridge, left a little bit there for strength, and now it's just clean it up and it clears. So I have done a little bit more of rack fitting since the last time I videoed, I think, because my inner tie rods came in. Let me turn this light back on. So these inner tie rods are 350 millimeter, I think. That way I could, get from here to there without any issues. They're actually run all the way in, and I have plenty left. So I'll probably cut a little bit out of it just so I can make sure it's probably towed in enough, but it's nice to have a little bit of extra adjustment in front and back. But yeah, so I got the inner tie rods on, and I've done my steering tests and everything. I will have to clearance this a little bit, I'm just gonna grind it down and then see if I have to weld it back in sturdy. But now my wheel hits against that right before the knuckle meets the control arm. So just a little clean that off just to make sure I'm not scraping tires off on it. And it should be good to go. So now while the engine's out, I think I'm just going to tighten these up. Maybe reroute them. I have a little bit of room to go around back, and obviously this hits right here. So I'm not liking that. So I might just route these around back if I can, with it everything being clear. And then I'll cut and weld my steering shaft together. So that way all this is done. And then I have some Chase Bays goodies. I got their heat sink style cooler. And I think I'm just gonna build mounts off of the rack where it already has these holes. And then just mount it right there, right in front of the rack. And then obviously route my lines. And I also got the Chase Bay triple baffled reservoir that I'll mount somewhere over here. But that's kind of what I'm going to be playing with. Once I get all that taken care of, I'll stuff the trans back into the engine and stuff it back into the car. So hopefully everything goes smooth. I did some more dinking around. Got the steering shaft welded. I also put a bolt through just because the weld didn't want to stick to what I had in there. So stick a through bolt in, never have to worry about it. I got my lines tightened in and tied up. I still had to go around the front. I couldn't get it around the back, so it's just really tight up against there. Should be fine. I'll keep an eye on it. Got my fittings in for inlet and return, for power, pressure hose and return. So now I think I'm going to work on a mount for the cooler. Then we'll play with that. Alright, so I have the power steering cooler mounted right to the rack, nice and solid. It's up high enough, out of the way. It's higher than the subframe, so that should be perfect. My only issue is the 180 AN fitting I got is not a wide enough radius, so I can't actually use this one. I'm going to have to try and find a different wider radius one. Hopefully I can do that tomorrow. Otherwise I'll be waiting another week on this. But that's alright. Now that power steering's pretty much done, I'm going to leave the boots off for now until I get it actually pumped up in steering, just to make sure we're not leaking. You know, reman parts, you never know. But I think at this point I'm going to make this to a transmission. But one of the neat things I got going on is now when I turn the steering wheel, my wheels turn. So that's neat. We all hooked up. Alright, I got the trans slid over here, and I got the engine lowered down. And now I'm gonna throw out my back, putting this thing together. I was debating showing it, but I'll just show you guys. Whatever, I'll embarrass myself, it's fine. I think I have it in gear now, so I can just, yep, this line's lined up. Oh yeah, that's what I like to see right there. Alright, she went together very well. Stick a couple bolts in there. And we'll finish assembling this thing. Alright, now for the starter. When I ordered my JZ, it did not have a starter. So that was kind of a bummer, but a little bit of research told me some people said the 7M starter would work. And I have two 7M starters, so when I first got the engine, I bolted this to it with no transmission on it and found out it worked. So if you're wondering what starter to use, I mean, yeah, you can get a JZ one probably at a parts store for like an IS300, SC300, GS300, whatever. But if you're converting from 7M to 1J, you can use your 7M starter. Auto, manual, doesn't matter, they all work. So that might be handy for some of you to know. All right, and while you have everything right here in your teeth, get your clutch fork on. This thing's a pain in the butt because of this silly little E-clip here. Oh, geez, let me just stab myself. All right, there's that little E-clip. Just went flying like they do. All right, I don't know how it goes for you guys, and I don't know if it's just a problem with me because I have big mitts, but this E-clip in here, the little guy up on the bottom of that rod there, the bottom of the pin, fights me every time. So I stopped recording just so you guys didn't have to hear me cuss and moan over here. So now I'm gonna put that in the car. All right, now we get to see how much I struggle with this. Ha! All right. Anyone ever feel like Mike Wazowski when they're stabbing an engine? Put that thing back where it came from, or so help me, so help me! No? Okay. Alright, well, I got the engine and trans back in the car. The transmission's all bolted up. The engine, the bolts are there, I just haven't tightened them up yet. I got the steering all hooked up. Everything looks like it's gonna clear. It looks like the BMW rack is a go. I gotta hook everything up still, but it's like 10 o'clock at night, so I think I'm gonna eat some dinner and go to bed. Check a couple things off this list real quick, because it's done, but yeah, so I'll come back out here and do it all again tomorrow. Probably go look for a fitting, and definitely gonna clean up the shop before I keep going too far. All right, peace. All right, what's up, guys? It's a new day in the shop. I'm back at it with the Supra. Gonna keep checking things off the list, make it a car again. Like I said yesterday, I straightened up the garage a little bit. I know it's not clean still. I have a lot of crap, it's kind of cluttered, but it's a lot better and definitely more workable. All the tools are put away, so I know where everything's at. So today should go pretty smoothly, you know, knock on wood. So for now, I'm gonna get underneath the car and I'm gonna button things up, like the drive shaft. That's another thing. I did a one-piece drive shaft just to, you know, avoid any stress with the carrier bearing and stuff. The one piece is just stronger, easier to deal with. And then, so yeah, I'll put the drive shaft in, I'll hook up the clutch slave, I'll do the exhaust, and put my cross member bracing in there, and we'll go on from there. All right, everything under the car is buttoned up. Got the exhaust up, the drive shaft is up. Exhaust is up, drive shaft is up, slave cylinders put into place, the subframe cross member there, and the little drive shaft cross member is put in. So now I'm gonna work on plugging in the harness. And there's a couple connectors I gotta change, because obviously I'm going E-throttle now. And also I switched to the GTR coils, so I'll have to change all those connectors. So I'm gonna start routing or reconnecting the fuel line, the wiring, the heater hoses and stuff, and then I'll start changing connectors and stuff. All right, so now I'm working on wiring the Bosch E-throttle. From Wiring Specialties, you got the throttle body, the connector, and the pins, and they even send you 2 extra pins in case you screw up. So if you remember in the previous video I talked about when I built this harness, I had already run all the wires preemptively for drive-by-wire. I knew I was going to go this route eventually. I just didn't have the time to do it when I first swapped the motor in. So what I did was I wrote down each pin, what it's going to do, and then what each wire was for that pin. So I got my H bridge 1A. That's this guy here. And it's going to go into the first pin, and they even I don't know if you can see it on there, but the pins are even numbered on both sides of the connector. So now I just need to sleeve this up and then snap it into here, and this side of it's wired. But since that was just for TPS before, sensor 1 signal, I'm just going to use the TPS wire that I already had. I'm just going to repin it at the ECU as analog in number 4. And then this one will be analog in number 3, and everything will be happy. Alright, so now I got that connector wired in. And now it's on to the daunting task of changing all these connectors. Shouldn't be too bad. It's just, 6 of them. Change all those, and then the harness changes, engine side will be done. And then it's just wiring in the pedal, and that's it. So let me get all these connectors swapped over so I can plug the coils in and then hide everything with that cover. Alright guys, I know I'm kind of terrible at recording. I'm new to this. I'm usually just trying to build my cool car, So yesterday I had some success. Got the wiring all done, all the coil packs connected, drive-by wires connected, everything except for the pedal. We got to get into that at some point, probably today. We'll see how things go. Power steering system is finalized. Got the chase base triple baffled reservoir. It feeds into the pump with the chase base adapter to go to 10 AM. And then the return, that system is all tied into this cooler here. So it goes into the cooler here, out the cooler there, and up to the reservoir. So that's all done. So now it's just, I gotta rebuild my intercooler side charge pipe, because obviously the JZ throttle body sticks out way farther, and you can get adapters to make it fit exactly the same. But I wasn't really happy with that charge pipe anyways, so I'm gonna take some of what I have here and make something work here today. So I'll be firing up the TIG welder, it looks like. Something that always takes me longer than I anticipate is intercooler piping. I put a lot of thought into making sure this is how I want it, and I don't know, hopefully it pays off. Welds look pretty decent today, I'd say. But yeah, I'm gonna throw this in the car and we'll see how it all comes together. The IAT sensor is not where I wanted it. I wanted it more near the bottom, but that's just my goof up, I clocked this thing wrong after the tacks broke. Whatever, it's gonna be fine, it's gonna work. I'll throw it in and I'll show you guys. Alright, it's really feeling good now. Having the intercooler piping on changes everything, makes everything look so much more complete. I'm not terribly upset with how this pipe turned out. Pretty clean, really. Just, bumming myself out with where I put this. Should have been in the bottom and hidden, but it doesn't look bad like that. Whatever. It's a drift car, not a show car. Some of you are probably gonna dislike what I do to the car because it's not clean, but it's mine. And it's clean enough, I suppose. Yeah, I think now underside of hood is complete, minus fluids. So that's pretty cool. Really checking things off the list here. Well, I think that's gonna do it for me for now. I know I have a lot of video to make multiple videos now, so I'm gonna go start editing that and get this out so you guys can actually see it. I know I've already had a couple people ask about the BMW steering rack, so hopefully my video does some good and some other people are able to make something like that happen. But for now, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you later.